Okay, I'm Dr. Dennis Villarreal. I'm a professor of medicine at the Division of Endocrinology, Diabetes, and Metabolism at Baylor College of Medicine. And I'm also a staff physician at the Michael E. DeBakey VA Medical Center in Houston, Texas. And I do have a paper published last week in the New England Journal of Medicine. Well, frailty is easy to recognize but difficult to define. But it's a state of vulnerability that carries an increased risk for adverse outcomes. So it's a transition between good health and poor health. Frail older adults have poor tolerance to the stress of medical illness, hospitalizations, and dismobility. Well, traditionally, we've equated frailty as muscle wasting or cachexia, and people didn't recognize obesity as a major cause of frailty. But in fact, being obese and elderly represents the worst of both worlds. It causes frailty because of the need to carry higher body weight, the need for more muscle to carry their heavier body weight, and also because they're elderly, they can't actually adapt to the higher body weight by producing more muscle. In fact, they have lower muscle mass to carry that heavy body weight because aging is associated with decrease in muscle mass. And that's what we call sarcopenia. Yeah, so we randomized a total of 160 older adults with obesity with evidence of mild to moderate frailty. And they were randomized to one of four groups. There were three groups that underwent weight management to reduce their body weight by approximately 10%. And these three groups were differentiated by the kind of exercise that they were doing. So the primary outcome was the score in the physical performance test. This is an objective test of physical function that has 9 components, each of which simulate activities of daily living. For example, climbing stairs, walking, picking up a coin, or standing from a chair. Each of these components has 4 points, so a perfect score is 9 times 4, which is 36. So to be eligible in the study, they had to have evidence of frailty as defined by a score of 31 or less. And this was our primary outcome. We wanted to see how much it improved in response to the intervention and differentiated the groups. The other outcomes were measures of body composition, the amount of fat mass, lean body mass, as assessed by dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which is a form of low radiation X-ray. We also measured their muscle mass using the MRI. We also measured their strength using the 1 repetition maximum, which is the amount of weight that they could lift at one time. And we also measured their speed with the gait. And we also had some subjective questionnaires that asked their quality of life. Absolutely, they lost weight. They lost about 9% of their body weight in response to the weight loss therapy of diet and regular exercise. And in terms of physical function, yes, they were able to walk faster. They were able to lift weights, more weights, and they have more endurance. They could sustain the exercise better, and they had a good feeling about themselves. They had a subjective feeling of being able to function better. And they were, of course, happier at the end of the study and had a very good feeling about themselves. The body mass was measured by a scale weight, right? We weighed them using a weighing scale. The body composition, the components of body weight, we assessed that using a machine called dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which is a form of X-ray that uses low-dose radiation. And that equipment could differentiate which components of that body weight is fat mass and which component is lean body mass, which is non-fat mass. And that instrument as well would measure the bone mineral density, which assess the risk for osteoporotic fractures. And we also had the gold standard for measuring muscle mass, which is an MRI. We did an MRI of their thigh, which is the muscle that we use, of course, in walking and daily activities like climbing stairs. The percentage of muscle mass increase, actually all muscle mass decrease because of caloric restriction. So it is very controversial with respect to the benefits versus the risks of doing weight loss therapy in the elderly. That's why the study was being done. So the hypothesis was that with weight loss, they're not going to lose only they're not going to lose only fat mass, but they're also going to lose muscle mass. So we try to define which specific type of exercise was the most effective in minimizing the loss of muscle mass, which we expect with weight loss. And we found that the combined aerobic resistance exercise as well as the resistance exercise alone were able to prevent or decrease the expected loss of muscle mass with weight loss, whereas aerobic exercise was not able to prevent that. All the exercise intervention groups, which were also the weight loss groups, lost some amount of muscle mass and bone mass, but the loss was least in the resistance exercise group and the combined aerobic and resistance group. The control group that did not lose any weight maintained their muscle mass.